All righty, welcome to our live Q&A special edition. We've got Rob St. John here in Detroit.
What's up? What's up?
So this will be exciting for you guys. And so there's a lot of questions that you guys have had over the past week. So how this is going to go down is Rob's going to give me the questions, and then we're both going to kind of break them down and answer as many as we can over the next 60 minutes. So Rob,
Fire away.
Fire away. What's
right.
our first question?
So let's go. Let me go back in time a little bit.
Yeah.
Just so we make sure we get to everybody.
What's up, James? Welcome.
James.
I'm going to start off with the flat fee thing because I know that's...
Yeah, that's definitely one that's come up a couple of times. So the question is, how do we, as we're prospecting, how do we handle somebody? Do we handle somebody any differently if, in fact, they've made this either the statement or they've gone ahead and taken the step to list their home with a flat fee seller? Got it.
So there's a couple things we've got to look at with the MLS flat fee options. First off, you have to you need to know your rules with your local MLS, your local board. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is you have to find out what kind of agreements the sellers are going into when they list with a flat fee seller. Because if they're not an exclusive right to sell,
which let's just take a second and talk about that, Brandon.
Okay.
I'm convinced we've got agents that are new enough inside of real estate, or maybe don't even think about that. What difference between like an exclusive right to sell versus a anything else that might be out there?
Exclusive agency or limited service.
Yeah, exactly.
So number one, you have to figure out in your marketplace with your MLS, with your board of realtors that you're part of, when a seller puts their home as a flat fee limited service listing, what are your code of ethics saying? Mm-hmm. Can you still prospect that lead? Can you not? Do you treat it like an expired listing? You have to find that out first, okay? So that's the homework, that's the takeaway. You go figure that out first. Now, let's talk about if you can still prospect that lead.
Yep.
Okay?
You find it, so basically you've looked at it, they haven't signed an exclusive right to sell listing, and they're basically a glorified for sale by owner at this point.
Yeah. Okay, so with that, we look at that as the same thing as them going on Zillow. Okay, because all they're trying to do is trying to access different ways to market their property. And with that being said, I don't look at those any differently. So if I talk to a seller today, Rob, mm-hmm. and you say, hey, I'm going to list it with this flat fee seller,
yep.
I'm going to say, great. I think that's a good option, and hopefully it works for you. Here are some things to consider, and this is where I want everybody to listen. With flat fee MLS listings, there's a couple things to consider. Number one is, in my MLS, you have to choose that setting in the MLS when sending out listings to a buyer. Because the seller's mindset is, okay,
I'm in the MLS, I'm going to go out to all these agents and buyers anyway. Yeah.
So that's a massive assumption. And the reason why I believe that to be true, and I know that to be true, is when we look at the list to sell ratio. Mm-hmm. So in all markets across the country, you could walk into your MLS right now and pull this data, is the list to sell ratio hovers right around 97%.
Yep.
From agent listed to agent sold, it's 97% because the market's been so good.
Yeah.
If you go and
not a lot of negotiation that's happening. If it's
that's right.
Well, there's competition.
The price well, they're selling. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if you go look at these flat fees listing companies, they're at like 60%. Mm-hmm. So the question is, so back in our role play, so listen, I think that's a great idea. You know what I mean? I get it. You want to access the MLS to mm-hmm. to start marketing to active buyer or active
agents.
Because
we know once it hits the MLS, it's we're going to have a bunch of offers on it.
Yeah, and you could be right. You could be right. But here's the thing: if the for sale by owner is already offering a 3% commission to a buyer's agent anyway, I mean, I don't know if it has that much juice, right? It's not just the MLS. But let me just get my thoughts here because I don't want to be in a hurry.
Yeah.
So I say, listen, I think that's a good idea. It makes sense to me. Just understand that there are limitations with that. And I'm just planting some seeds of doubt with that person. I'm not trying to sell against it. Mm-hmm. I'm not trying to convince you that it's a bad idea or that you shouldn't do it. But there are some things to consider. Number one is I want you to look at their model. they wanted you to give them money up front before they listed the house, correct?
Yeah.
$300, $400, $500, $200, $99,
Yeah.
whatever it is, they took that money up front. You guys, the model is built on, it's not built on results like your business and like my business.
Yeah.
We only get paid if we get a result.
Yeah, there's no alignment there. There's no alignment of success. Like that's one thing that
that's right.
we always talk about with sellers is the biggest advantage you have is that my success is in direct alignment to yours.
Mm-hmm.
And when you take that away, now it's game over, right? I mean, there's really no reason for me to continue to put a ton of effort into it.
That's right.
Because I've been paid.
Yeah, exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
So what Rob just said is a good point. Like I've already been paid. So that model, just make sure the seller knows once you pay them, that's it. They get paid and they don't do a whole lot after that. Mm-hmm. And maybe you don't need to. Like that's my language with people. I'm not trying to convince them that it's a bad idea because I treat it the same way. I just keep following up. And then my next point is how to handle these is I just lost my train of thought. Allowing it to happen and following. If it doesn't take place, like if it doesn't happen, because I know the list to sales ratio is so low. Mm-hmm. If it doesn't happen, I still want to be the backup plan.
Sure. I
still want to be the backup plan. It changes nothing for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh, that's what I was going to say. And control what you can control. Yeah. That's my big takeaway here. There's no silver bullet that gets you past MLS or listing it with Uncle Johnny. We control what we can control. And this goes back to the big gaping hole training around there's 100 to 120 for sale by owners a month. Mm-hmm. And there's plenty of for sale by owners to get 3, 4, 5, 6 listings a month. Mm-hmm. And so the ones that go MLS or go with Uncle Johnny, like don't get caught up into that too much. There's no silver bullet that allows you to say, okay, I'm going to say this one thing, and then they no longer list with the
So it all comes back to just continuing to detach emotionally from the results.
Yeah.
It's just staying on track with continuing to do the work.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. So again, just to be clear on that question, look at your MLS guidelines. Yep. Can you still prospect this person? If you can, then it changes nothing.
Right.
You still call them every Monday, you email them every Wednesday, and you follow up every Friday. It changes absolutely nothing. That's number one. Number two is you tell the person, like, listen, I get it. I understand why you would want to do that. Here are some things for you to consider before you make that decision. And you walk them through. Listen, their model is built on you paying them up front, regardless if your house sells or not. Number two, you still have to pay a buyer's agent commission, right? Number three is let's look at the company's success ratio. Mr. Seller, have you looked at that yet? No? Okay, so go to their website, or you can go to I can give it to you. List to sales ratio, that's hovering around 55, 60%.
Yeah.
That means that it's failing almost half the time.
Yep.
And my question for sellers is, if it was just the MLS that was doing everything, well, real estate agents would be extinct a long time ago.
Yeah, there wouldn't be a bunch of homes sitting in the MLS that haven't sold if that was the end all be all.
That's right.
I mean, that's,
So take away from this, don't try to sell against it. Encourage them, be supportive, give them things to think about, and then check to see if you can still prospect them. Let's go to the next question.
All right, awesome. So another one that we get, so Chris Lynch asked us, how do I handle when somebody says, if I do list, I will be listing with a friend of mine or a family member?
I love it. All right, so I got a friend in the business. How many times do you hear that every day?
Right now, I mean, you can't throw a stone in any direction without hitting 7 real estate agents, and some of them should be hit, but at the same time, it's just how it goes.
Yeah.
Everybody has a friend in the business right now.
That's right.
I mean, that's just how it is.
The market's so good right now. Rob's exactly right. And how I respond to that and how I want you guys to respond to that is I want you to say, of course. Of course you know somebody in the business. I'd be shocked if you didn't, right? And I love Rob's response to this is, who is it? I might have done a deal with them, or if I need to get a hold of them in the future.
Yeah. The response to that question, guys, is sometimes it can be entertaining because I have a friend in the business or something like that is sometimes that's sales prevention 101. Like I'm going to tell this agent who's bugging me to come see my house about this idea to that I've got a friend in the business and they're going to leave me alone. So when you say, oh, cool, who is it? I might have done a deal with them or something like that and didn't even realize you knew them. You're going to get one of two reactions. Immediately, you're going to get a name, or you're going to get, and if you get that second, like, stuttered response, it's sales prevention 101. Hey, no problem. Totally get it. Tell you what, I still want to come over and take a look at the house because, again, what do we say about a face-to-face meeting? It's going to change everything. I went and previewed a house recently for somebody whose mom is a real estate agent. And she started asking me questions about the Smart Seller program and what we can do to help her out. So it does. It completely changes everything when you are set up in the right with the right mindset and steps to kind of go through it. But it requires information. You have to be willing to ask. There's always one more question you can ask.
All right. So with that being said, so I have a friend in the business. Okay. So how you handle that is you say, listen, that's of course you do, right? Everybody knows somebody in the business. I'd be shocked if you didn't. And if it makes sense, you're going to do what you're going to do. I respect that. What I like to do is still stop by, take a quick peek at the house before getting to work, and see what you have. What time can I come over? And you set the appointment. Why? Because of what Rob just said. A face-to-face appointment changes everything. Everybody in this group, including myself, Rob, Kevin, I've known many people, and I list homes all the time from people that say, I have a friend in the business. We don't know if that's sales prevention and their scripts being better than yours, or if it's the truth. And you won't know that until you actually go on the appointment, put them in the follow-up funnel, and you follow up over time. Even when it comes down to it, and here's where I'm going to give you some nitty-gritty details around that. Let's pretend that you do let me suggest that you do what I asked you to do, and you just continue to run the play. You just say, yep, totally makes sense. You go meet with them. You follow up with them for 6 weeks, and they tell you, well, I am going to start looking at listing it with Uncle Johnny. At that point, you could say, well, again, of course. I mean, everybody knows somebody in the business. Mm-hmm. Surely Uncle Johnny wants what's best for you. Am I right? And they say yes. Well, worst case scenario, I share with you information that Uncle Johnny doesn't know about that could possibly help you and him get the property sold, and you take that information as something to consider. Is that reasonable? Because all I want to do is get you a shot at the table to present what we have to offer. You see, what you're going to learn in this program, and what I know to be true, is what we do, how we communicate, what we offer, all of these things in combination with one another provides people with a ton of value. So much value sometimes that what they told you about having a friend in the business, that just goes away. We didn't know if it was real or not. We don't know if they told their brother, hey, you know what? I don't want to mix business and personal relationship. I'm just going to hire Rob, this time. So I just want to be upfront with that, and they tell them that all the time, okay?
Thanksgiving dinner always tastes different when the real estate transaction went sideways. I mean, that's just all there is. So
before we move on, takeaway, because I want to be clear, because I know Rob and I, we're on like our seventh coffee of the day. So I want to make sure we're being clear. Friend in the business, you stay absolutely agreeable, right? Don't argue with them, try to overcome their objection and tell them why they shouldn't work with a friend. You say, sure, of course you do. And you set the appointment anyway. Yep. Now, if you really, really believe that, hey, they have their mom or their best friend in the business, and you are convinced that they're going to sell their house with Brother Bill, well, then make a business decision and don't go. Yeah. It goes back to controlling what you can control and then move forward. Yep. Okay, so those are the takeaways on that. Next question. All right, awesome. So Laura Mosconi, she's got a couple of them here. One, can you share the video you email when you set a preview appointment? Laura, do me a favor and drop your email address to me, and I will basically email you as if I just set a preview appointment with you. So you'll get the attachment, you'll get the video that I send when I set an appointment. Don't get excited. It's super, like, it's really literally me saying hi. I do it from a perspective of, hey, look, I just want you to recognize me when I come knocking on the door. So that's it. And then she says, you mentioned on a training that you were going to do a live preview appointment and record it. Is that still available? I did it. You did it? Okay, yeah. Awesome. So, yep, I have done that. And two things on that. A, I recorded the audio. mean, I can't have my camera guy who's right behind us go and film it because the sellers would get all freaked out. But I have recorded him on my phone. It's weird because I'm on that. So what's happening?
I'm waiting to get punched in the face.
Yeah,
guys,
we're like on. So like, what hand is? Oh my God, this is that hand. That's so weird. So anyway, yeah, I've got it recorded. I will show that to you guys, and then Laura and everybody else, record it, put it in your pocket, and when you're at the preview appointment, record it, upload it to the group so I can hear how it went, so I can give you some feedback. Now, before you go to the next one,
yeah,
you guys read what Matt Lang just put in there. He got the I got friend business objection today, and he's going on the appointment at 2:00.
So he made a business decision. He gathered enough information from that possibility to know that it made sense for him to still go on the preview.
All right, next question.
So we got another one from Laura. It says, where am I? Should my script and approach change for a make me move lead?
No, it's the exact same.
Yep.
It's the exact same. You call to make me move and you run the play. Hey, I saw your house on Zillow and I know you're selling it yourself and you're probably not, quote unquote, in the marketplace. I was just curious if a buyer or if a buyer's agent out there had a qualified buyer, if you'd be open to co-oping with an agent.
Yeah.
And they say, yeah, I mean, sure, that would make sense. And then you set the appointment and you go. What you're going to find with Zillow Make Me Moves, most of them list way faster than they lead on.
That's what I was just going to say is that my experience with Make Me Moves is basically like they're testing the waters before they hit the market. They're in the process of getting their home ready or getting themselves ready or whatever it is. And they truly don't have a desire to sell by owner. They intend to list the home,
that's a good point.
But they just decided, well, I'll just pop it out here and see what happens. And what's really funny is in 9 times out of 10, it's one of the spouses decided to do it, and the other one was like, I don't know what they were thinking. They popped it out there. We're going to list this house in a week. So that's been my experience with a lot of the Make Me Move stuff. Is they are people who they actually don't have a desire to sell on their own.
Right. No, that's a really, really good point. They really don't. All they're trying to do is it's a preliminary hand raise.
Mm-hmm.
You have a homeowner who's raising their hand saying, I'm going to sell this house in the future. I'm just trying to I'm trying to test the market. That's what Zillow Make Me Moves always say. Just trying to test the market. So our strategy actually works really well with them because you meet them so early on in their process of selling their property that we get a lot of listing opportunities from that.
Yep, absolutely.
Right, next question.
Another one from Laura is regarding Facebook ads. And need help with the landing page. Can we update the training video? Because it seems like Facebook has changed the process. Don't know how different it is now.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's going to be an ongoing thing. Facebook is always going to be
changing their algorithms.
Stuff.
So the answer to that question is yes. So I am working on a new Facebook advertising funnel, and I almost want to walk you through it really quick just because we have the time. We're going to be targeting people with their hands up, whether that be absentee owners, FSBOs, expireds, or for rent by owners. And we're going to be, the ad is going to go in front of them and lead them to what we call a value video. I'm going to make a video. I'm going to make a training on all this. This is why Rob's here in Michigan.
Yep.
I'm going to make a training on how this funnel works. So you put an ad in front of these people. You're going to lead them to a value video. We're going to essentially walk them through, the home selling process from a high level, all of our value propositions that we offer, and then you're going to ask them to self-select themselves for a phone interview, and you're going to have fully qualified appointments right on your calendar through this Facebook marketing campaign that Rob and I are building. So Laura, you just got to give me a little bit of time, and that's all in the works.
Mm-hmm. We got a great question here from Roxy. It was on Tuesday. She put this up. Do I still send a thank you note if the preview appointment didn't go well, or do I save my stamp and lotto ticket?
Yeah, and that depends. And I hate to say that, but it really depends. I mean, how
bad is not well?
Yeah, what does that mean? And that's
did they throw you out of the house, or was it just like you didn't feel a lot of like progression down the funnel?
Yeah, because when I talk to people about it didn't go well, what they meant was I didn't get a chance to present my CMA. So that happens. And so if that's the case, Roxy, then 100% send your thank you card, because what happens over time? Situations change, and so we can't take certain situations literally. I've had that conversation with most of you. You go to some type of appointment and it doesn't go well, or you have some one situation that doesn't go well, and then you try to make a business decision on that one situation. You don't want to do that. You want to get out of the habit of making these huge decisions on, I'm not going to follow up with them, I'm not going to run the play with this person because of one thing that happened. Everything changes over time. So don't take things so literal. And so, yeah, overall, I would send your thank you card.
Yeah. And you know, honestly, the thank you card is as much for you as it is for them. You know, it's just staying consistent with your actions. Remember,
that's a great point.
We talked about earlier in this live about detaching from the outcome and about just staying consistent and controlling what you can control. You can control whether or not you send a card. You can't control whether or not they keep it or they throw it away or whatever it is. So you stay consistent with your actions no matter what.
All right, I want to talk about the perfect schedule. Eric, I think, asked this, and I had about an hour call yesterday with Julian. Is that right, Pat? Mm-hmm. About that, right? And so, he asked, like, we talked a lot about being productive and getting rid of distractions in like tactical ways to be more efficient. But the question is, hey, what should my schedule look like? And so let me walk you quickly through my schedule and hopefully provide you some clarity on what your schedule could look like. So I go to bed, I try to go to bed the same time every single night, right? And I have a nightly routine. The saying is, we're going to plan tomorrow today. So that's where it all starts, okay? So planning your day tomorrow planning tomorrow today. So if you're not doing that, that one little thing is going to change a lot for you, okay? So you're planning your day, planning tomorrow today. You go to bed at the same time. You wake up at the same time, okay? You have your clothes picked out already. All of this is all done. You know what you're going to eat. You're going to go sweat for 20 or 30 minutes, correct? Mm-hmm. You go sweat for 20 to 30 minutes. I don't care if it's walking around your neighborhood or you're a CrossFitter like Rob, or I don't care what it is. You have to sweat in the morning for 20 to 30 minutes. Yep. I'm just telling you. Like,
and here's on the fact of doing it in the morning versus planning to do it later in the day. Here's the thing: when you go to bed at night knowing that that's the first thing you're going to do, you don't make an excuse to not do it.
Right.
If the plan is I'm going to go work out after lunch, or I'm going to do this or do that, all of a sudden life in the day catches up with you, and the last thing you're going to do when you've got deals to negotiate or fires to put out is go and do your workout.
That's right.
So you've got to make it a morning thing.
And the workout, you guys and girls, is less about what's the right word? Vanity. Is that the right? Yeah, it's less about vanity, and it's more about energy management. If any of you have ever worked out in the morning consistently and then you don't, like, ask Kevin or ask somebody that does it every day, you'll find out that it's not even close to how much more energy, more clear you are. Mm-hmm. You execute on things way better. Yep. You have a lot more willpower. You're making tough calls where you typically wouldn't. You can withstand pain longer. You can prospect longer. It's all of these things compounded, okay? So you're sweating in the morning. Your first phone call, okay, listen everybody, your first phone call should be at about 7:50 a.m. 7:50 a.m. should be your first call to the fresh expired listings. That should go on for about 15 minutes. I'm gonna go through this quickly. Next, you should be calling the fresh for sale by owners at about 8:15 to 8:20. You get through all of those, you should jump onto the fresh for rent by owners. Next, you should jump on old expired listings. Mm-hmm. Next, you should spend about an hour every day calling absentee owners. Next, you should spend about 30 minutes calling probates. Go to lunch, take a break without your cell phone. Try to do it without your cell phone. Shut it down. Yep. Take a break. Take a mental breather, because you're going to be.
If you've got a book to read, do a little reading, something.
Yep. 30 to 45 minute lunch break. Then you're back and doing lead follow-up from 1 to 2, prepping for appointments. And you should have 2 slots for appointments on your schedule. A 3 o'clock and a 5 o'clock. A 3 o'clock, you go to the 3 o'clock appointment, you're there for an hour. Then you have drive time to get to your next appointment. That appointment goes from 5 to 6, and you're home with your family for dinner. Now, If you do not have an appointment, what should you be doing?
Prospecting.
Looking for another one.
Yep.
It's really simple.
Yep.
If you do not, make your days really simple.
You've already blocked that time to work.
That's right. You're either on an appointment or you're looking for one.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the two things that you guys and girls need to be doing. You're either on an appointment or you're looking for one. So you got to ask yourself throughout the day, if you're finding yourself, lost on some big major distraction on Facebook, or trying to build out this fancy CRM, or trying to build out this fancy thing, or, hanging out at the coffee pot with other realtors in your office.
Attending 15 different trainings on things that aren't really going to impact your business.
Watching every podcast out there, well, just stop, because what did Brandon and Rob say? You're either on an appointment, presenting, meeting with somebody face-to-face, or you're looking for one. Mm-hmm. Calling, texting, emailing, private messaging, door knocking, something, looking for an appointment. Okay.
And I think the big missing element there is you've done a lot of what we would consider your cold prospecting in the morning, right? Beyond that, guys, let's not forget about your database. Let's not forget about those people you've served in the past. That's massive. Like that's in the afternoon is a great, and maybe your energy's a little lower in the afternoon, something like that. Reach out to people who are going to be excited to talk to you, because that's just gonna fill your bucket too.
All right. What other questions?
Okay, I got one here from Carla. This was back on the first. I think you already kind of answered it, but I think this is a good one to talk about here. It says, would you still call a for sale by owner if they specifically state no realtor calls in all caps, or would you just mail and PM them?
Yeah.
Private message.
100% you're calling. Let me tell you guys why they put that there. They put that on there because they're talking about not wanting to list their home.
Yep.
Here's what you're going to find. A lot of agents don't call those. And when you ask our question in the first call script, they say, oh, well, yeah, I absolutely will work with an agent if they brought me a buyer. I just don't want to list my home. Mm-hmm. And that's where our script is designed to get out in front of those objections. You could say, it goes ring, ring. Here, watch, role play this with me, Rob. You be the seller.
Yep.
So ring, ring.
Hello.
Hey, Rob, this is Brandon. I'm a local realtor. Listen, I just saw your Zillow ad, and I know you're not listing your house with agents. Am I right?
Yeah. We're definitely selling it on our own.
Cool. My only question is, if an agent brought you a buyer, are you working with agents that bring you a buyer?
Yeah. I mean, I guess we consider what does that cost? How do we get through that?
Okay, so whatever he says there, you start off the script, reverse selling, and you say, listen, I just saw your Zillow ad. I know you're not listing your home. Am I right? Yes, that's exactly right. When you say that, you guys, you come off like that, mm-hmm. the respect factor for somebody goes through the roof.
Yep.
And they're not so quickly to object, because you're not selling them anything.
You're taking that bullet out of their gun. I mean,
Great
it's
point.
Like they are locked and loaded. They know, regardless of what they put in their ad, there's going to be some knucklehead agent that calls them and said, if I could show you how to put more money in your pocket by working, and they're ready to just start
defend
blasting.
it. Yeah. And let me just make sure that everyone's clear. I think I've made this clear over the last 2 years, but I just want to make sure. Our script is not designed to make the seller believe that you are bringing them a buyer when you come over.
Correct.
So make sure everyone's aware of that. It's not what I'm asking is, conceptually, are they open to the idea of co-oping with buyer brokers? The reason why we want that to be answered is we're halfway there.
Yeah.
If someone's willing to co-op with a buyer's agent, we're halfway home. Think about that. That's the question, ladies and gentlemen. It's not we're bringing a buyer.
Yeah. Got one here. Again, we're going back in time a bit. This was on October 30th, but I think it was a good question from Richard. What is the verbiage that you put in the thank you cards that you send out to the for sale by owners that you preview? Yeah,
so I posted a real copy of my thank you card that I send out, but I just say, hey, Richard and Sue, it was great meeting with you guys. You guys have a beautiful home. If you need anything, make sure you reach out. Otherwise, I'll stay in touch. Best of luck, Brandon. And then I have my card in there and my little gift. Here's a question from Julian. So how do you balance learning and work? Okay, so work should all be done during work period of times. Mm-hmm. Okay, so outside of that schedule, like we talked about, in the morning, that should be spent on work. Really, after 12, I'm not as strict about what you should or shouldn't do. Before noon, you shouldn't mess with anything outside of setting appointments.
Yep.
Like, that's all that morning's for.
That should be an expectation you're setting with your current sellers, with anybody that might need to reach you.
Your spouse,
they
your
need
kids.
to know and understand, look, guys, you cannot talk to me before noon, especially a seller. A seller is going to want to talk to you after every single showing of their house.
That's right.
So, you talk to them and say, look, here's the deal. From 8 a.m. to noon, I'm working, Brandon, on finding the buyer for your home.
That's right.
So I can't talk with you before then. If I'm talking with you, I'm not talking with potential buyers.
Yep.
So I need you to understand that before noon. Now, understand, you leave me a message, I'm going to get back to you. That is a commitment.
That's right.
I showed you that commitment in my commitments. I will get back with you. It's just not going to happen before noon. Is that
fair?
Would you be offended if I was chose to use that time to talk with potential buyers for your home?
No, makes total sense.
Awesome.
And what Rob said is a really good point. It's all about setting expectations. That's what we do in the calls and the appointments when we take listings, and we have to set that expectation with other people and with ourselves.
Yep.
The other thing I want to say about that is, you have to put in a lot of effort when you're building this business, and so with that, like in the beginning, all my learning was done at night.
Yeah.
I mean, I would work all day long. And then at night, when I'm shutting it down, then I would go and learn. And I'd have this little thing right here, and we would take notes.
Yep, get your journal,
Then I would listen to the podcast. Then I would come back and listen to this. Then I would do all these things after my day. You see, it's what I call the mirage of hope that gets everybody stuck, Julian. And what the mirage of hope is, you watch a 3-hour podcast, and you think you're being productive. I'm not saying you specifically. I'm just saying in general, people.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's the mirage. That's the illusion. That is not a productivity task.
Yep.
It's a learning task. And so that can turn into revenue later, but the act of doing that is not productive. And you have to do that at other times.
Yep. There's education and then there's execution. And the most important element to that is execution.
That's right. All right. What other questions do we have? Anything else?
I was back into October 30th and a lot of, it's funny, Brandon, as I was looking through, a lot of people are running into the flat fee thing.
Yeah.
That's just generally what I'm seeing is a real, that is definitely probably one of the biggest opportunities is people running into that flat fee thing. And again, guys, there's no silver bullet to avoid it. And at the same time, you definitely want to make sure that you are really just providing value. Don't bash anything. Demonstrate why you're different and help them understand what they need to consider.
Can I tell you why I think that this is such a big deal? I think it's a mindset thing. I think that agents...
They're looking at price.
Yeah, well, but I'm saying from the agent's perspective. What I'm saying is I think agents look at MLS as like this big, massive threat.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, they put it in the MLS listing. I'm over. Done. Game over.
It's going to sell in an hour and a half,
So,
and I don't get a chance.
That's a story you've said. That's a story you've told yourself.
Yeah.
I need you guys, whoever's on this, there's 12 people right there.
Yep.
12 people on this. Go look at the listing history. Do some research. Oh, awesome. We knew that was going to happen. That's called a spilled coffee, ladies and gentlemen.
All right.
That's totally my bad. Sorry, dude.
No worries. I've had 7 of them, so we're good.
Yeah, see what happens? Go do the research. Go look at the numbers in your MLS, and I want you to look at list to sales ratio with these people, and I just want you to look at their list to closing ratio.
Yeah, and I think that's a huge.
Sorry,
so a point that you just made is something that gets ignored way too often, and that's just knowing your market. Like, part of the reason why these previews are important, guys, is not just the idea of getting out and developing relationships. It's also knowing your market, knowing what else is available to those sellers or to those buyers that do come across the pipeline. So yeah, I mean, to me, that's a huge thing, is that you need to know your market and understand that when people know, because here's a great response to the flat fee thing. Hey, Brandon, I get it. You're considering the flat fee MLS. Totally get that. Let me ask you a question. Do you feel like the MLS is the most important thing that is going to help you sell your home now that you've been out here doing it on your own for a couple weeks?
Yeah, I mean, that's all you guys do is put in the MLS and then it sells.
And I would say that's a fair assumption. Here's my take on that, and what I would have you consider is really simple. if the MLS was the end-all be-all to selling all homes, there wouldn't be 6,000 homes sitting in the MLS today that have not sold. Would you agree?
Well, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So there's got to be something else.
Interesting.
So it's getting them kind of
instilling doubt.
Yeah.
Instilling doubt. All right, there's another thing that there wasn't a question. I'm going to give you guys just an extra. Oh, there's a question from Joseph. Joseph, I want to make something really clear, and it's a bonus training. Expand your markets. Expand them. Yeah. You know, if you're in, like, you should be able to service a 1 hour. God, it's so weird, isn't it? You're trying to draw a circle. Yeah, exactly. It's weird. If you're in a 1 hour radius, or you should be serving a 1 hour radius, you guys. And so most agents don't. They only have like one county or whatever, so they're getting like 3 or 4 FSBOs. Or 1 or 2 FRBOs, and so on. If you expand your marketplace, you're going to have triple the amount of opportunities. Imagine having 10 to 20 FSBOs a day. And you could do that. So go get some other counties. Okay, so that's my little extra piece of advice. Joseph says, if a seller was showing strong interest in listing on the first preview, do you already have a net sheet prepared and a whole present? Yes, 1,000%.
Yes.
Listen, you guys, we are not looking to have unpaid consultants. We are looking to list properties. I have to make sure that that's clear. Our intentions when we go there, we list properties by osmosis, meaning we go provide people a ton of value. That happens all the time to me. I go to a preview appointment and we get into it so deep and the person's loving it so much. They're like, you know what? I'm ready now. Can you list my house now? Do you think I say no? Let me follow up with you for 4 to 6 weeks. You don't fit
that
the follow.
That does not fit the plan.
That doesn't fit
Brandon
the funnel.
told me I have to follow up for a month and a half before I can do this.
So yes, the answer is 1,000%. When you hear it, you need to jump on it.
And I think there's something too to recognizing that, to recognizing those signals of general interest compared to like
trying to push our agenda on them. If they already have it, listen, that's how you guys list homes. If somebody's already considering it, well, you could say, I have no problems with you saying, well, it sounds like you might be considering other options right now. Am I right? And they say, yeah, you know what? We don't know if we want to do this. Well, if you'd like, I can kind of walk you through what we do specifically for sale by owners that most people absolutely love. Would you like that? Yeah, that would be great, Brandon. And I go take the listing. I mean, it's as simple as that. Go ahead. You want to add anything?
I think a lot of us get wrapped up in this idea that we have to be prepared to present this like baller marketing plan and all the presentation stuff and everything that goes along with that. That's just not true. At the end of the day, sellers are concerned about a couple of things. Number one, can you get me the most for my home? 2, am I going to put as much as possible back into my pocket on the sale of that home? And 3, are you going to do it inside of a time frame that makes sense to me? So you don't know any of those things. You don't know what value means to that person until you start asking them questions like, what kind of time frame makes sense to you? Because they may not want to hear, I'm going to sell your home in an hour and a half if we list it. They that makes them nervous. Or, so you gotta be conversational and actually hear what the person on the other side is saying. And it's about not being literal. And that's going to be a whole other training that Rob and I are creating, like as we speak. Is like, what we do as real estate agents, you may look at that and not even comprehend all the things and value that you provide somebody that you just take for granted. One of the things that we talk about all the time is reverse prospecting. And you guys think, oh, that's just no big deal. Well, it's all about the presentation. Everything we do, you guys, is about the presentation because we're not in the literal business. All right. Vaughn says, is this compared to discount brokers? I don't know. Is he talking about MLS thing? I think so. Flat fee versus discount brokers. That's basically going to be somebody willing to go on the cheap for their commission. No problem. Guess what? If you utilize the Smart Seller program, you might get away with selling your house for as little as 1%.
Exactly.
Now, I would challenge you to find a broker anywhere that's going to do anything for you for 1%.
And that, what Rob just said, is how we get around the, hey, I'm looking, Billy Bob's going to do it for 4.5%. Okay, good. And
gosh, that seems expensive.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Well, I mean, there's a chance
that's a great thing.
I might do this for 1%.
And that's the whole thing around not taking things and people's words literally. You walk them through the flexible commission program and the savvy seller system,
Mm-hmm.
they look at that because they've never heard those words before.
Yeah.
Remember, you're you and they're them. And when they hear that for the first time, they say, wow, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And there's also some things that I started talking with Brandon about a little bit here that I'm kind of testing the waters with it, but I'll introduce to you guys regarding the possibility of, if they choose to use you on the buy side, some additional benefits. I'm looking at some rebate programs and things like that to further enhance the dollar value that a potential seller sees in me, and further enhance the potential relationship with lenders who might refer you listing business as well. So there's a bunch of stuff kind of that I'm testing the waters on, that I'll kind of fill everybody in on as I have success with it.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of things coming soon, so we'll have a lot of fun. All right, let's keep rocking and rolling. I want to get through all your questions. So Steve Angeline says, do you have a PDF flow chart for the follow-up steps needed to take after the appointment? No, but we are creating it.
Yep.
So
and
we'll have
for now, the follow-up module kind of has the system laid out.
Yeah, so Steve, go to, I think it's module 4 in follow-up, and you can kind of see how that whole thing works with like our follow-up funnel. But we will have a nice flow chart, almost like Candyland. You know, like here's where you go, and based on here's what they say, you go this way. And based on this, if they say this, you go that way.
Yeah.
Actually, let's make a note of that.
Yep. That's
yeah.
All right. So what
We'll
do we
keep
got
going.
here? We got Steve with another on the first preview appointment. It is an entry-level condo for sale by owner. Is telling me he had 2 buyers with no agents, and he could tell they were lost in the process. He wants to send them to me, but does not want to cover me with 2 to 3% from his end. I told him we could work it out. Any creative way to cover my end of 2 to 3%? Better responses. Okay, so here's how I respond to that. And this is not necessarily that, but a very similar scenario of, you know, somebody who you get them on the phone and you say, hey, I know you're selling this home on your own. I'll just do it. Hey, Brandon. So basically what you're going to tell me is, no, we're not allowing agents or doing anything. So, hey, Brandon, I know you're selling the home on your own. Let me ask you a question. Are you open to a buyer's agent showing the home if there's a qualified buyer to show the home to?
Yeah, we're absolutely open to that.
Awesome. Okay, so it sounds like you're willing to offer a cooperating commission, right?
Yes.
Okay.
We're paying 3%.
Let's reset the role play. You don't want to offer that.
Okay, got it.
That's how I want to handle this.
Got it. Sorry.
So, you know, I've asked you, so are you open to working with a buyer's agent if there's a qualified buyer to show the home to?
No, we're not working with any agents right now.
Okay, so let me ask you, if the buyer was covering my commission in the form of an offer that made sense to you, would you be open to me showing the home?
Sure.
Okay.
I love that. All right, so that's really good. And hopefully you guys, you need to go rewind that and listen to that. I was going to go somewhere different with it.
Okay.
I was going to go, what he's being offered is transaction coordinator.
There's that piece, yeah.
So Steve, you're going to learn what I have done, and it doesn't happen a lot, but it's happening more and more, I guess. Mm-hmm. Is in our contract, like right in my contract that you guys all have access to, it's all uploaded into the program, is our Savvy Seller Agreement. And what it states, Steve and everybody else, is, hey, if you procure the buyer, because really, Rob, you're hiring me to bring you a buyer. Right. If you go out and find your own buyer and they don't have representation and you don't know what you're doing.
And you negotiate all the terms, the price, everything. I'm basically
I'm going to act as what the state calls a transaction coordinator. And I charge 1% and I'll process, and here's how it goes. Here's the script. Because you have to say all of these things. I'm going to handle the contracts, addendums, state legal disclosures, inspections, appraisals for both you and the buyer. Now, Steve, let me ask you, do you think that's fair? And they say, oh my God, that'd be awesome. Mm-hmm. So Steve, that's how you handle that, buddy.
Yep. And so a couple of different ways to take it. If the buyer wants representation, like full blown, like you negotiating on their behalf, then you got to figure out a way to get that cooperating commission covered. If the buyer and seller work out the deal amongst themselves, then go for the route of transaction coordinator. And that's easy money, guys. If
it is,
you're not marketing, you're not negotiating, you
have no debt against it. You have no photos, no marketing.
It's 1% of pure profit.
Yeah, and Rob brings up another good point. It is about representation. So the state says an agency agreement has to be in place if you are if you have vested interest, or what's the word? Essentially
fiduciary
responsibility. Yep. If that is not in place for the buyer or the seller, sorry, look at that, smacking him in the face. Well, then you act as a transaction coordinator. I'm a non-biased third party processing the transaction for everybody, and it's a pure net profit of 1%. There's no debt against that.
Yeah, and if it's of interest to you guys, I built a form incognito forms that I send to somebody, if that's like a transaction coordinator request form, and they have to fill in what's the price you agreed to, what's the inspection period, what's the closing time frame, what's this, what's that. Because my role as a transaction coordinator is literally to take all the details and put them on paper. I'm not there to negotiate. I'm not there to do any of that. I don't represent either of you in this. I'm here to simply help you get through the process.
All right, Richard says, hey, can you show me how to present the net sheet? So yes, in the training website, so go to FSBOdomination.com/login. When you guys all joined the program, there was probably 15 training modules.
It's blown up now.
There's about 40 in there now.
Yeah.
So Richard, it is in the listing consultation training. I have a full video on how to present the net sheet. I would love that flowchart. Yep, working on it. Anna says, do you have a smart seller PDF leave behind? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So Anna, you can log into the training website and you can download it. And we put it in such a way it's in a
resume. It's in a PowerPoint or
it's in a PowerPoint.
PowerPoint or Keynote, whatever you use.
Yeah. So it's in a PowerPoint, so it's fully editable.
Mm-hmm.
So you can copy and paste it into another PowerPoint.
Yep.
We're going to be doing a training on that, but it's right in, I think, week 3, Anna. It's in week 3, module 3, under leads and marketing. And you can download the full resume presentation, steal all of it. Rob and I have given you full permission to use that on your own. You want to take our ugly mugs off of it. You want to put, Anna, you're a lot better looking than us. So put your stuff on it and your information on it, and then run with it. So it's all in there for you. Steve, got it. Awesome.
Great stuff.
Cool. Thank you. Check it out. Awesome.
Beautiful.
Anything
else? We got another 15 minutes, guys. Is there anything else that's just a burning question that you feel like you need to get answered? And here's the other thing, guys. Asking the questions on here is phenomenal because there's probably 2 or 3 other people who have the exact same questions that we can kind of roll through with everybody to get this figured out.
And yeah, thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. This is how our Q&A should go. I have, and Rob has time allotted in our schedules for this.
Mm-hmm.
I want our Q&As sometimes to last 2 and 3 hours.
Yeah.
I'm going to go super deep in the future, but we're just iterating.
Yeah. And going forward, guys, my involvement with the coaching side of things is going to get much, much heavier as well. So Brandon and I think very similarly and very differently about different aspects of things. So you'll get a lot of give and take and definitely a willingness and a desire to help you guys. So.
All right, Zillow review audit. So cool, great question, man.
Favorites.
Yeah. So here is the 5-step process for the face-to-face appointment. The reason I'm calling it a face-to-face appointment, you can call it a preview, whatever you want. It's the same strategy for all lead sources. When you get there, step number 1 is the home tour. Step number 2, look, it's so weird. Step number 2 is, because I'm sitting there, and he's sitting.
Brandon is actually on my right.
Oh my God, it's so weird. So, all right, step number 1 is the home tour. Step number 2 is the CMA presentation. Step number 3 is the value proposition presentation. Step number 4 is the marketing consultation. Step number 5 is planting the seed for the backup strategy. Okay, so in step number 4, in the marketing consultation, one of the things that Rob and I do, and we're going to teach you to do, is to do a Zillow Ad Audit. Mm-hmm. So we're looking at their photos, we're looking at their description, we're looking at their placement,
pricing strategy, competition for the home,
all of it.
So
we're going to teach it to you, but you can start doing that right away. Mm-hmm. You can print off their Zillow ad and say, listen, here's it, and you can go under. There's 2 tabs in Zillow. You can look at it through the public view and the owner view. And you can say, hey, here's how many, most of them don't even know this. You can pull out the whole, did you know that? The statistics on
mm-hmm.
it? Yeah. So how many people have viewed it? How many people have saved it?
Yeah.
You're reviewing all
I call
that.
that audience interest. And basically what you'll find, 90% of the people that are running for sale by owner, they see all these views that they're getting. Like a lot of them comment to me, I've got like 1,000 views. Awesome. Of those 1,000 people that looked at it,
How many people saved?
12 of them have actually saved it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let me ask you a question. Have you shown the home 12 times? No. So is it possible that even this small number of people, these 12, are just sitting around waiting for you to lower the price?
That's a great point.
So, there's things like that you'll look into as far as their Zillow ad goes.
So we go deep on that. And so, Matt, for you, looking for tangible value to provide people in that CMA presentation, value prop, and marketing review, dude, when you're going through an auditing their Zillow advertising, like there's no one that's even heard of that. None of you have ever heard that before.
Yep.
And so we do that at the preview appointment.
Yep.
So
this is a great one from Jason.
All right. Jason says, when you get a phone call and a FSBO is claiming that they are leaning towards listing and using you, what is your approach to turn up a notch to continue that reverse selling? Oh, okay, good. So someone calls you back and says, hey, we're right there and we're thinking about using you. If this thing doesn't work out by tomorrow, whatever the case may be. What I always respond to that is I still don't jump. Well, I'm going to use different words because I told you to jump on it before. I don't want to contradict myself. I want you to take the opportunity, but I don't want you to get all excited like a little boy on prom night. Okay? That's what I say. And so here's what it sounds like. Well, Jason, that's great. I mean, when the time comes, why don't we schedule a time? I'll come back over. I'll walk you through step by step what it is that we do and what it would look like to work together. And I'm sure by the end of that meeting, you and I will see things similarly. But, let me know if you want to do something maybe today or tomorrow, or what are you thinking? And I do get a level of commitment on when they're thinking about getting together to plant that seed. So somebody says that to you or they text you back and they're thinking about you. Well, okay, great. Don't get all like, oh, awesome. You know what I mean? Like that's the worst thing that you can do.
Yep.
You just stay calm.
Yep.
Stay calm.
All of a sudden you reek of commission breath at that point. So,
it's such a good point.
It's and another great way to put it is just, hey, that's awesome. I'll tell you what, why don't we do this? I don't mind. Let's figure out a time to get together. We'll go through all the details to show you what that could look like. And then you've got all the information so your decision process gets easier when you're ready to make that move.
Yeah. Richard, Richard's wondering how to create that sheet.
I've got a spreadsheet I can upload to the group.
As soon as we're done, Richard, we will upload the template to the group. And it'll always be in files.
Yeah.
Oh, look at list by what's this thing? Oh, for sale by Miguel. What would
sell by Miguel?
There you go. What would be a best approach for a FSBO who you had given a listing presentation to, and they have not made a decision yet and are still selling by owner? Okay, follow up aggressively.
Yeah, just keep following up. I mean, it sounds like it truly was a listing presentation, Miguel. And at that point, it's truly the way you would follow up with anybody else with whom you did a listing presentation and they did not move forward.
And so how that can look like or what that can sound like, Miguel, so I'm being very tactical. In my follow-up, I say, hey, Miguel, we met last week. I thought the meeting went really, really well. But I wanted to follow up and see what questions that you had. Mm-hmm. Because after we meet and you allow things to set in that we've talked about, that's when questions or concerns arise. And I want to give you the opportunity to do that. And then you just shut up. Mm-hmm. You just shut up. You know what I mean? And then you just follow up aggressively, almost daily. When I present somebody, when I'm that close, well, now they go on what I've called my hot shit folder, and I call them or text them, and I'm on top of it every day because I'm not missing that opportunity.
Yeah.
Julian, or the ones saved it, could be the realtors looking for the home.
Point.
Gosh, that's such a good point.
That's a really good point. So of that very small. So what Julian said is, or the ones that's going back to the people who saved the Zillow listing is some of those could be realtors who are watching the home themselves. So now of this very small percentage of people that have actually looked at the home that saved it, you've got a bunch of them who have not come to see the home because they're not interested yet enough to do that. And that, I mean, it's and then you've got guys like me who are potentially saving, because I think when you print the listing, I think it does something where it kind of saves it in a sense for you anyway. So I mean, there's such, it's so easy. And again, you're not coming at it from a haha for sale by owner, you're being stupid. I want you to have this information and know that this is a very possible thing that the traffic you think you're getting, you're not getting.
All right. So Joseph asks about, this whole thing around if a seller is really ready to list at the preview appointment, do you have a full CMA? Are you prepared to talk about pricing and net sheets? So here's my rule of thumb. My thing is I don't really, unless I'm really prepared, which at a preview I'm not. I do a quick CMA. I don't. I'll go into some good detail. But if I'm not prepared to give a pricing recommendation, I'm not confident in it, I never get caught with my pants down. And here's what I mean by that. I will go after the listing and I will get the listing, I'll get the contract signed, and I'll say, listen, we're gonna firm up price over the next 24 to 48 hours. Here's why. Everyone's gonna look at what I'm about to say, Rob, and think and say, wow, that makes a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. Watch this. When an appraiser goes to a home, okay, you have a house under contract. Mm-hmm. The lender orders an appraisal, right?
Yep.
Sorry, do I have coffee breath?
No, you're good.
Okay, good. Orders the appraisal. Mm-hmm. Appraiser goes to the home. Mm-hmm. Do they give you the value right on the spot?
No.
What happens?
Lord, no. They take 3 days to go.
3 days or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay, so the reason, you guys, listen to this. Very important as a listing broker. I treat it the same way an appraiser does, 95% of the time. And what I say is, similar to an appraiser, I don't give the value right on the spot. The work of what I do when we value a home is after I've been here. You see, that's the other thing about going to the home. The reason I need to go to the house, the reason why the appraiser needs to do the walkthrough is to check things off. Mm-hmm. Are there updates? Are the windows all blown out? Is there, you know what I mean? Like, so then I go back and say, listen, we'll go through everything else. All this will make sense, Joseph. And in the next day or so, you and I will firm up price. I'll send you the full valuation on the property. How the numbers breaks down, we'll jump on a quick call. We'll firm that up before we get things moving forward. Is that fair? And it's pretty reasonable because it's just how an appraisal works.
Yep.
So, and then the other thing, Joseph, on this whole thing is you should always be prepared. You know what I mean? Like, if
part of it's just knowing the market.
Yeah, I mean, it is.
You're going to come into some of these cookie cutter neighborhoods where
they're easy to price.
There's 3 floor plans, mm-hmm. and they're all 12 to 1,500 square feet. They all have, and the ones with a finished basement sell for this. The ones with no basement sell for this. So yeah, there are going to be properties that you can walk into, and once you've been inside it, you know which price of that neighborhood it is. Mm-hmm. So those are beautiful. Like those are a beautiful thing because you can move a little quicker on that.
And just to be clear, if you are confident on price, then go for it.
Yeah.
If you're confident on price and if you can confidently recommend a price that's the right price based on the market data, it's not what I think the house is worth.
Right.
Don't ever say that. What I think the house should be priced at is this. Never say that, because now it's your price and you're tied to that price.
Yep.
It's always what the market suggests the home would sell for, which has already been determined before you even met me.
It's somewhere in the neighborhood.
It's somewhere in the neighborhood of X to X. Mm-hmm. Always. And so, Joseph, if you feel confident with that, you can do that. Okay. And take the listing on the spot.
Yep.
All right. So I think that's it for today. That was an awesome session.
4 minutes and we nailed it.
So
coffee incident, that's all right.
I know. Sorry about that, dude.
That's all right. I'm gonna get some more here.
Good. I know you are. Your 10th cup of coffee. So let us know what other questions you guys have. Look out for more and more training content to come out. More and more things like this. We're working on contests and different things for 2019, just to have more fun. Any last words?
No, that's it. I mean, I'm excited to really dig into being more involved with the coaching end of it, and also to start bringing some additional things to it from a total market domination. I think some of you in the group have seen the training I did on working with virtual home shoppers. I'm going to put together a more refined version of that training and teach you how to leverage more time and spend less time showing homes, but still being able to sell to these buyers, many without them even walking into the house. So look out for some stuff coming down the line on that. And also I'll fill you in on my rebate program and things like that.
Yeah, awesome. So this episode is going to be in Facebook. It's recorded now, so it'll just stay here.
Yep.
I'm going to leave you guys with this. It's Friday, 2:00 Eastern Standard Time. I hope that you don't have major regrets.
Marriage.
I hope you don't have major regrets. Regrets over this past week based off inaction. I hope you don't look back and feel bad about like, damn, man, I didn't really give it my all this week. And if you do,
that's it. Then live with it and move
on. Move on. And just next week, get better. Yep. We're always iterating.
Yep.
We're always getting better. And so, you know, if you do, stay away from distractions, you know.
Don't tell yourself a story.
Don't tell yourself a story. Take stuff off your phone. Get rid of stuff. You know, block out things. Set good expectations around your time. Take your time more seriously and get to work and do the work. So we love you guys from Michigan. We're out, and you guys have an awesome weekend.